Hello. Um, Welcome. Hello, howdy. Everybody's welcome here. I hope that you're having a good day today. I hope that you're having. Sorry, that was me talking. So it is our Thursday 5 o'clock live, and I have some stuff that I've made over the last couple of days that I thought that I'd show you. And then we can, talk about it. So if you did not see Wednesday's video, I finished my, oops, going the wrong way. So I finished my shirt, and the front ruffle is actually, let me see if I can get this to where you might be able to see it, is actually a pineapple stitch. And then below that, it's just the shells, kind of like a granny stitch. I finished this for Wednesday's video. I finished it on Monday, but then didn't finish the video until Wednesday when it was supposed to go out. Something else that I made is this chicken. She is she's chicken. Let me find her here again. I'm sorry. Okay. So, it doesn't tell me. It does not tell me the maker's name. So it's crochet pattern for a hen off of Etsy. And so she came out kind of large. I don't know why I purchased this one instead of the Mabel pattern, but I did. It might have been a little bit less expensive. That's probably what it was. She worked up really quick, and I was able to finish her like within 2 hours. I did put some, I got these eyes that I can't actually use. They're supposed to be safety eyes, but they're not. And they've got some weight to them. And so I'm using them as weight in my chicken to kind of help her sit. So that's one thing that I made this week. What else do I have here? So I finished this up last night, except for sewing in my ends. I did that this morning because I forgot. But I made a new market bag. Now this one is larger than what I normally make. But I think it worked out okay. It used an entire I think it's an entire pound of cotton to actually make this one, but it turned out pretty nice. I also used an acrylic to give it some sparkly. I don't know if you can see, but it has some sparkle to it, and that's the acrylic. Okay. The next one that I made, I'm really proud of. So I made a crochet strawberry pillow. Now, this is a free YouTube tutorial, and I did follow it, but I kind of changed a few things. The strawberry is basically her pattern. I changed where I increased and decreased a little bit. And then on the leaves, I added to it to make them look kind of spiky and thick like strawberries are. And then I did 2 different colors of seeds, because oftentimes strawberries, their seeds aren't just one color. So this is my strawberry pillow. Oh, and I forgot to say, this market bag, you can get a basic pattern off of YouTube. I do not remember the creator's name, but if you search how to crochet a market bag, it pops up. It's one of the top ones, and it's an old one. It's been on there for several years. So then I got on a keychain kick. And so I made a leggy frog keychain. What else did I make? This is all from Jade's whale pattern. It worked up really easy, really nice. But this is, to me, a little bit big for a keychain. So I modified it a little bit. And I made it a little bit smaller so that it would be more appropriate in my mind to sit on a keychain. Then I was really on a purple kick. So I decided to make a rabbit, kind of like a chocolate rabbit, even though it's purple. Now, this is supposed to be a tulip. I don't know that that really comes across as being a tulip, but it's definitely a flower. I definitely have to work on figuring out how to get the stem to attach correctly. I may just have to start with the stem and work it up. That's what I need to do. Thank you for talking with me, because now I know what I need to do to fix that. So then I started on some flower keychains, and I made some basic white ones that are kind of like maybe a daisy or something like that. Then I made, let me get them out here. I made a couple purple ones. I made a purple chicken keychain. I made another whale keychain. So then I made another whale. Now I had this idea that I wanted to make grapes and make like a grapes keychain. That does not look quite like a grape to me. So back to the drawing board. I haven't quite come up with exactly how I'm going to do it, but it's tinkering around in my mind. So these ones are not quite finished because they need smiley faces. But I made the colorways are changing throughout them. So I made a couple circles that need their smiles and eyes. So then I had another idea about making grapes, and I thought, well, I can hang them, right? Well, that doesn't look so good either. And then the last thing I made is a small rug. So those are quickly what I have been working on, and the stuff that I have finished so far. I am working on petals for a bloom flower, and so I've got a couple purple, and I got a couple of this really light pale blue. I'm going to batch make them so that I can make several of them. I have a flower show that I'm going to be participating in at the end of May, and I need to have flowers crochet stuff that are flowers. I won't be able to take like regular plushies and that kind of stuff, which totally makes sense. So that's why I've kind of been on more of like a flower kick right now. And I might have some of these done hopefully for you guys on Saturday so that we can look at the bloom flowers. The bloom flowers, that pattern, it's called Bloom Snuggies. And again, let me see here. Okay, so this one was created by Crochet Desires, and it is an awesome pattern. It works up really quick. There's very little sewing. In fact, I think it's almost no sew. And it is, I think, a pattern that I really enjoy. Number one, because you don't have to use a lot of stuffing, and they do tend to come out fairly large. And number three, they just work up so quickly because you're basically crocheting everything in the round, which is why I'm making petals first, and then I'll make leaves, and then I'll make stems, and start the whole process. I'm not sure what my centers are going to be because some of my flower petals, I'm going to make them white. I might make some red, maybe some yellow. I'm still working through what colors I'm going to use for the petals. And hopefully I'll have at least one fully done by Saturday, but hopefully I'll have all of them done by Saturday. That way I can show you what they look like. Mom's been working on more glamour chicks. They are so cute. So cute. And I know, who did I see? Was it the Southern gal crocheter? I believe that she had made some of the glamour chicks too. And they turn out really nice. And Mom has just been going to town with them with sequins and all kinds of stuff. So they're going to be, I think they're going to be a big hit. I really like this petal pattern because it is so quick. And it's something that I've got memorized already, which is for me nice. Then I don't have to keep referring back to the pattern. I was very long-winded in my Wednesday video, but I had a lot of feelings and things that I wanted to say about crocheting, especially crocheting your own garments. And the reason that I say that is I don't want people to be discouraged if it takes a while to crochet something for themselves or a loved one or a friend, because there are some patterns that work up like super quick, but there's also other patterns that don't. And just because it doesn't work up super quick doesn't mean that you're not doing a good job. And I think that sometimes we can see things on the internet and think, gosh, why can't I do that? When you don't know behind the scenes, how much time that person has to crochet, how long they've been crocheting. Because there are some people that can just whip things out, like Katie, the Celestial Homebody. Whoo! Man, her hands fly. If my hands flew like that, I would have so much more done. But my hands don't fly like hers. And it's just kind of a reality of where I'm at, and that's okay. I want people to know that it is okay to not crochet as fast as someone else or to crochet faster. I want people to know that crochet is an art, but it's also therapy. It's also a very good creative outlet, especially picking colors and patterns and yarns. There's just so much that you can dive into and really fall in love with. I've been crocheting for a long, long time, and there's still stuff that I'm learning. And we have to learn as we go, or we become stagnant. I'm going to put my marker in here so I don't lose my place. So I wanted to talk about mental health and wellness. Our world is tough. It's been tough for a while. And as I've gotten older, I have realized the importance of having a good support system and having people that you trust help you. So I just want to remind people that there is help out there. Now, this is not a BetterHelp commercial. This is just me saying to you that, if you're in dark times, if you're struggling, please reach out. Call the National Suicide Hotline, or, reach out to a local sector of suicide prevention, because they can help hook you up with therapists and doctors and people that can help you. And the reason I say that is because it's too easy to fall into that trap that nobody cares. And then you may not reach out to those that would and could help you. You don't have to reach out to family if that's not a positive experience. But finding people that you trust, that you can work with, is extremely important for your overall health, not just your mental health, but for your overall wellness. So please talk to someone. Call a nonprofit. Call 2 or 3 if you have to. But don't just give up and clock out. It's been a year and a couple days since a family member became unalived. And that person was dealing with a lot of darkness and mental stress. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, was not able to reach out to the people that were there willing to help. And him leaving this world left a big hole in a lot of people's hearts and hurt a lot of people. And I know that he thought that what he was doing was going to save people pain, and that, no one would really care if he was gone. But the problem with that is that when we're in that headspace, and I've been there before, we're not thinking about the people that we would leave behind and the devastation that we would leave behind, because we're thinking, we get it into our heads that it would be better for everyone if we weren't here. But that's not true. The world needs you. And it's really tough in this world. So please reach out to someone who can help. And if you don't know who can help, reach out to nonprofits because they will help point you in the right direction. Even if it's a nonprofit for something else, they'll know other nonprofits in the area that can help you. In my local area, one of the nonprofits is Grace for Two Brothers, and they can help with mental health crisis and help you find support that you need. And, you know, if you have a child that's really struggling, you can reach out to, in Wyoming, you can reach out to the nonprofit Uplift, and they will be more than happy to assist you. I used to work for Uplift. It's an awesome, awesome place. They do a lot of good work with very little funding, and will continue to do so. Just like a lot of the other nonprofits, you know, they figure out how to do more with less money every year. And it's not easy, but we need those nonprofits just like we need you. You may not think that you're important to this world, but you are. At the very least, you're important to me. And I don't want anything bad to happen to you. So just remember that no matter how dark it gets, you can find help, and eventually you can have better days. Doesn't mean that it'll happen tomorrow, but you can have a better, happier, more stable life. I think that's one of the reasons I crochet so much, is that it really feeds my dopamine and makes me feel good. Because it's, you know, it's important to feed your brain. Whether you're talking about food, or you're talking about learning, or you're talking about any, you know, stimulation, because not everybody can sit and crochet like I can, and that's not a dig. But, you know, I recognize that there are folks out there that they can focus for a while, but then they got to do something else. And I'm one of those people that I can sit down and I can focus, and I don't have to stop, or I don't get the whole like squirrel thing. I understand it for other folks, but that's not something I have to worry about. And that's just where I'm at. I have family members that cannot sit still. So I understand that not all of us are going to be able to do things in the same way. And that's okay. If you can only crochet for, you know, 5 minutes a day, well, that's awesome. That's 5 more than you did yesterday. And if, you know, you've got to crochet, you know, you crochet, but then you've got to get up and move, that's okay too, because we can crochet while walking. I don't know that we can talk while walking and crocheting, but we can walk and crochet. It's just requires a little bit more brain power, which some days I don't have. I got to go to PT today, and we worked on strengthening arms and shoulders and whatnot. And it was a really good session. I got really tired afterwards, but it was a really good session. I was able to push 75 pounds of weight down the hallway and back up twice. I was able to carry 25 pounds of weight, like holding it close to my body and then holding it out and then holding it up twice each way. So it was a good experience for me. It's been quite a while since I've been in PT. Um, I'm one of those people that just likes to sit and crochet. I wonder why, right? Um, but getting out and walking, getting out and going to PT, I am actually enjoying those things. Whereas before, I really didn't enjoy them. And they've been helpful with, I think, my confidence and my mental health and my physical health. Um, so I'm very excited to be able to do things, even though it's small things, to do things that I wasn't able to do before. And a lot of that is because I've gotten treatment for stuff, treatment for like my chronic pain and a bunch of other stuff. And so I'm able to do more with a little bit, not having to use up all my energy to do one thing a day. We got to go to a craft show last weekend, and I was able to walk around the entire thing. And yes, I had my walker with me, but I didn't have to sit down until after I'd walked through the whole place. And we decided that we were leaving, and I walked outside, and Mom didn't see me. So I just sat down to wait for her. But before that, I think we were in there for about 45 minutes. And was walking and standing the entire time, which for me, that's a really big deal. Back in October, I could hardly take a couple of steps because the pain was just so bad. And now I'm doing so much more. And I realize to normal people, it doesn't seem like I'm doing more, but I really am. And I am excited by making things with crochet. And I'm excited about meeting people this summer and talking about crochet and being able to sit outside and crochet. And, I don't know how much money we'll make or won't make, but that's not really the whole point. I get to interact with folks without actually having to leave my house. But the other side of the coin is that I get to do things that I enjoy. I love crocheting. I like to knit too. I haven't done any knitting in quite a while because I've been really focusing on crochet. But I have a feeling that there will come a time when I need to do something else. I'll need like a palette cleanser, and I will probably knit maybe washcloths or something small and easy, just to kind of give my brain and my body a little bit of a rest. Um, but I really enjoy doing these lives and being able to talk to folks. I also really enjoy crochet. I think the only part of, well, not the only part. I think one thing that I really need to work on for my confidence is editing videos, because I still am not good at that. But I am learning almost every time I make a video. I am learning new skills. So I'm hopeful that eventually I will get to the point where I have really nice, flawless videos like Katie. I mean, I know that she does a lot of videoing, and then she does a lot of editing. And I know I'm going to struggle with that for quite a while. And that's okay, because I am still learning, and figuring out what works for me, because what works for me may not be what works for other folks. Here it is. And so even sitting here, talking to you, I've already crocheted a couple of these leaves because they're just so quick and easy. I like the quick and easy patterns, especially if I can memorize those patterns or parts of those patterns, because then I'm not tied to my phone for my patterns. I can just work from memory. I've been doing that with gummy bears, octos, um, Sloan the seahorse. I almost have memorized. I still have to look a little bit of it up. And I have part of the bloom flower memorized. I think it's interesting that people like my little videos with Humphreys, my dog, which I'm partial to Humphreys, but he's my dog. And I think it's kind of interesting that people really like those videos versus stuff that doesn't have him in it. But then again, I like videos that have animals in it too. So that kind of makes sense. And he'll be in more stuff, I think, this summer because we're going to be outside. And that way, I'm going to take you guys along so that you can see while I learn about selling. Maybe you'll learn something or you'll see something that I'm doing wrong and you can kind of help and guide me. Or maybe, we'll just talk about the weather, because that's kind of what people around here, are kind of notorious for talking about. Heck, even you watch farmers on YouTube, and a lot of them talk about the weather. And it's because the weather is such a big part of their lives, and it's a big part of anyone's life who does not live in maybe like a really big city. Well, even then, I think we all kind of have to know what the weather is going to be so we know how to act or react. And I really feel bad about all the hurricanes and the tornadoes that have been going on because our weather has been different. And to me, it seems like it's a little bit more extreme, but I don't know. I used to not pay attention to the weather at all. And now I pay a little bit more attention to it. Because I have this thing called a phone and it shows up on the front of my phone what our weather is going to be. So then I know. But yeah, the weather's been kind of awful for a while for different areas. I really enjoy watching DOS Farms and DOS Outdoors and DOS Farms clips. That they have a lot of footage of some of their young cows and steers. They have a Highland cross that is the cutest little thing right now. I mean, he's not going to stay that way for forever, but he sure is a fluffy little cute Highland cross. And he's got white on his chest and on his tail. And then the rest of him is a reddish brown color, just like his mom. And he is just too freaking cute. They have a little female heifer. Well, of course she's female. They had a little heifer born this week, and her name is Sugar. And she is white with a few brown spots, but oh, she's just too cute. It just warms my heart to watch their videos, and they put out a video every day. And I think that that's too much for me right now, but maybe sometime down the line, I might get to the point where I can put out material every day. But we'll see. I really have been enjoying watching the like what I make videos or what I make in a week, because you get to see what people are focusing on, and you learn a little bit more about how long it takes to actually create things. Because sometimes you watch those the shorts, and they like show you the yarn, and then they show you the plushie. Well, they don't tell you that that plushie takes 5 hours to crochet or 10 hours to crochet. It doesn't tell you that it takes like, 2 pounds of stuffing or something like that. So it's important to have perspective and understand that, even people that have crochet businesses and have had them for a while, they're not out here turning out, thousands of amigurumi and plushy pieces a week. You just can't do that. But you can, consistently crochet and, make plushies, and sometimes they're going to be big and sometimes they're going to be not so big, but it's all, putting things in perspective and understanding that you're an individual. And so how fast do you crochet really isn't about how fast somebody else can crochet. It's just your body can do X, Y, and Z, and that's great. And other people may be able to do something else, and that's great for them. But we need to not compare ourselves necessarily to each other. Like, oh, Katie crocheted 100 items in a week, I got to do that too. No. If I tried to do that, because I do enjoy making some larger pieces, and so if I tried doing that, I would really have a massive problem, because I would not be able to do that. If I was just making keychains, could I make 100 in a week? Yes, absolutely. But would I want to? Probably not, because I don't know how well they're going to sell. And, frankly, I'm doing them so that I have some items that are smaller that don't cost as much, because a lot of my stuff is, larger. It's like my head size or bigger. And that's not going to be cost effective for a family that, has like 3 kids, and they're trying to get something, a little something for all, each one. You have to have stuff that, you have to have different price ranges so people can get a little something that they can afford, rather than just have massive plushies. Although I will have a lot of plushies, large plushies, just because that's what I like to do. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have other stuff. Because like I have 2 full bags of keychain supplies. I'm going to start making slap bracelets. I haven't done it yet, but I did order them. Now, these are for little kids. They're not for really adult wrists. But I have a pattern for a snake and maybe a frog or a duck, and the slap bracelets. So that's something I am going to do, because I think that would be good to have that's a little bit more interactive. I guess you could kind of consider it a little bit like a fidget toy, because you can play with it. but I'm not really doing fidget toys right now. I don't know. Um, there's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm not sure what's going to work well for me. And so I don't want to have like a lot of fidget toys that then just don't sell, um, because that's, time and materials that go into that. However, if that's something that someone wants, I want to be able to offer it too. It just may have to be like a small custom order or something. I was watching, now I don't remember her name, but I was watching a YouTuber that I haven't watched before, and she was making fidget toys, but they take like 3 hours, and they're fairly small. And it's like, you can't, to my way of thinking, you can't really get your time back from that. When you're making something that's larger, oftentimes I feel like you can make your money back because it takes the same amount of time to make this strawberry in Bernat blanket like I did as to make it in like a sport weight yarn. It's just the sport weight yarn is going to come out much, much smaller. So I prefer the larger yarn. However, I have, like I showed you, I am working on, some smaller stuff that hopefully would be something that kids would want or adults would want when they can't afford to, buy a $50 plushie. Because I get it, money is tight, and that's a lot of money. I think that, those plushies that I priced that high, I think that they are actually worth that price because of the amount of materials and other skills and other things that go into it. But not everybody can afford that price. So having a larger price range, I think is a good thing. Like when we go to our markets and stuff, I'm going to focus on larger items because I think that they will sell better because they're unique. Whereas when we're selling at the house, I think I'll have smaller items that are more like batch and bulk made, that I've made, like frogs, leggy frogs, or gummy bears. I need to make some turtles, and I have a couple of turtle patterns. I just haven't made any recently because I have those other ones that I made, but they're all, they're still kind of big, and I want something that's fairly small and compact. I've really gotten into making these snugglers. There's the dragon snuggler. There's this snuggler, which is the bloom snuggler. There's also what else? There's a couple different snugglers that I've made, and I really do enjoy them. And I think that they're a good thing to offer, especially if people they want a larger plushie, but maybe they don't want to pay the same, maybe they want something that's large like the strawberry, but maybe doesn't quite cost as much as the strawberry. Well, then you can look at a snuggler, because the snuggler is going to be a little bit less expensive because you don't have as much material going into it because you don't stuff most of it. And I really like the bloom snugglers because they work up so quickly. And it's an easy to read pattern. And I think that it is a very good pattern. I got it off of Etsy. I don't know if you can purchase it anywhere else. But in the pattern, she did give you her Etsy shop. Plus, she gave out her email address. So if you're having issues, you can email her, which I think is, really nice. Not everybody does that, but it's nice when a designer lets you know that if you're having problems, you can contact them and they can maybe help you. But her pattern is so straightforward and so easy. I don't think that most people would have an issue with it. Um, I don't think that it would be like a brand new beginner that's never crocheted before type pattern. But if you've crocheted before and you've made a plushie or two, I think that you could definitely handle it. And it's just, it works up so quickly. And it looks good. It looks cute when it's finished. So it's not something that I have to do a whole lot of sewing to. It's just a nice product, because I think all I have to do is sew in my ends. But it really is something that I enjoy. So if you have patterns that you enjoy, why don't you pop them down in the comments? Um, and we can talk about what we like. Or if there's a pattern that you don't like, let me know. It's always nice to share what works and what doesn't work. Well, it's been about an hour, and I know people, are busy. It's a Thursday night. But I hope that you have a very good evening and a good Friday tomorrow. I go live Saturday at 1, and then I do a video on Wednesdays and then do this live on Thursdays. That live schedule will probably change this summer while I'm selling outside of the house. But we'll see how it goes. Thank you very much for being here. Like and subscribe. And as always, remember, you are wanted, you are needed, and you are loved. Be kind to everyone, including yourself. This world is hard enough, and we need you. Have a great night.